Morning peeps, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. All right, let's have a look and see what's doing the rounds today. All right, let's start here. Top Rank wins purse bid for Devin Haney defense, but will he accept the fight? I don't think he will accept the fight. I'll give you my reasons for that in a minute. The fight is against Sandor Martin. The purse bid was $2.42 million, and the only one to bid on the purse bid was Top Rank. No one else did, which is a bit of a surprise. I mean, Devin Haney's a draw. His last couple of fights did really well. Ryan Garcia, before that, Regis Prograis. And I think it's a surprise to Devin Haney as well. He tweeted something out about Matchroom not bidding on it. Matchroom don't have to bid on it. Matchroom are not Devin Haney's promoter. They've worked with each other in the past, but Devin Haney's a free agent. So Matchroom will look at it from a business standpoint. Does it make financial sense? Are we going to make any money on it? Is it a pay-per-view fight? And I don't think it is a pay-per-view fight. Look, I think Devin's a pay-per-view fighter, but he needs the right dance partner. Ryan was that, and Regis was that. Sandor Martin isn't that. So I know Devin's slightly upset with Matchroom not bidding on it, but they don't have to, right? They don't have to. As for the reasons I don't think he will take the fight, if it's a $2.42 million purse bid, Devin Haney's cut will be $1.5, $1.6 million, which is still a lot of money. But then you have to weigh up the risk reward. Devin Haney's coming off a really tough fight against Ryan Garcia. Sandor Martin, I think we saw this against Teofimo Lopez, is a good fighter, and that will be another tough fight. Do you take that another tough fight for 1.5? Bear in mind, your last two fights, we're led to believe he made $15 million combined. I think around $10 million for Ryan, $5 million for Regis. So do you take Sandor Martin, which, by the way, is as tough a fight as those two, even though Regis wasn't tough in the end, but, you know, leading into it, it was considered tough. Do you take Sandor Martin for way less than you're used to now? I don't know if you do. I don't know if you do. I think the best play for Devin is to wait and see what happens with Ryan Garcia in the New York State Athletic Commission. If Ryan gets a slap on the wrist and a 6-month ban, you run it back with Ryan immediately, and you're making upwards of $10 to $15 million easy. Because that fight, because of what happened in the first fight, because of all the controversy, because of the performance-enhancing drugs, because of the weight issue, that fight now will garner so much interest, it will do, I think, close to 1 million pay-per-view buys. I really do think it will do that. If pushed correctly, even if it doesn't, even if it does 500,000 to 750,000, which is more realistic, that will be way more money than 1.5 million Sandor Martin. And it's just a much bigger fight. So I don't think Devin fights Sandor for that money. I don't know who he fights next, but I think 1.5 million to fight Sandor. Look, it's not chicken change here. It's a lot of money, but I don't think the reward is worth the risk. Just my take. Richard Riakporhe eyes move up to heavyweight. See, when someone does this, it almost, like, it just means get rid of Bridgerweight. Like, there's no point in Bridgerweight then, is there? Because the next step should be Bridgerweight. Lawrence Okoli's there, but even Lawrence is now said he's going up to heavyweight. So yeah, I don't know. Like, Richard Riakporhe is big, but these heavyweights are enormous. They're enormous. It's a bit like the Benavidez thing. Benavidez, huge for 168, looked average for 175. Not average, but he looked the same size as those guys. Whereas Richard Riakporhe won't be the same size as those guys. Richard Riakporhe will be undersized. He'll be undersized. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I think there still could be a couple more good fights in the cruiserweight division. But look, the money's in the heavyweight division. And it'd be interesting to see what Richard Riakporhe looks like. I don't know, 15 and a half, 16 stone. It'll be interesting. We'll see. On that, might as well talk about Lawrence Okoli. Now, Lawrence Okoli has announced that he's a free agent. He wants a heavyweight fight next as well. He's called out Joseph Parker, which sounds like no. But then in my, sometimes I think, maybe. Like, there's something in that, I think. I don't think he's not going to get it. He'll get a fight in the heavyweight division. I want to see Okoli versus Dillian White. I think that's the fight to make. Remember their issue that they had a couple of years back? I think Okoli calling out White, saying he bashed him up in sparring or something like that. I think that's a good fight for Okoli. So I think that's more realistic than getting someone I consider the third, fourth best heavyweight who's just come off wins against Zhang and Wilder. Like, as much as I like Okoli, Joseph Parker isn't going to come off wins against Zhang and Wilder and then fight Okoli. It just it's just not going to happen. Sticking with the heavyweight division, let's talk about, I think, the upcoming fight between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. AJ put out something on his Instagram, I think he, across all of his social media platforms actually, and said news coming soon. He's close to agreeing a deal for his next fight. Now look, there could be a curveball here, and it might not be Daniel Dubois. There are still a couple of realistic names. Agit Kabayel's had a really good 8 to 12 months, beating Arslanbek Makhmudov and Frank Sanchez. Joseph Parker has had an incredible 12 months. What a turnaround for Joseph Parker, beating Wilder and Zhang. So they're realistic as well. I've seen the Parker fight already, and I know they're completely different fighters to what they were a few years back, but I don't want to see Parker AJ. I wouldn't mind seeing Kabayel, but I don't think Kabayel is going to get the call just because it's Wembley Stadium and they want a bigger name or a Brit. The Brit is Daniel Dubois. So I guess the question is, can Daniel Dubois beat Anthony Joshua? And look, the answer, of course he can. Like, I think we've seen in the last sort of 8 to 12 months, anything can happen in the heavyweight division. Unless your name is Alexander Usyk, everyone seems to be able to beat everyone, right? So he can beat him. I don't think he will, personally. But I think we've seen in Daniel Dubois' last couple of fights now that this guy can now dig deep. He can take a smack. The engine seems to be good. His confidence is there. The ability's always kind of been there anyway. I mean, no one looked at Daniel Dubois like the second coming of Muhammad Ali, but we all knew that he was a good boxer. So the ability's always been there. The only questions have been this quitting thing and his mindset. Now, under Don Charles, he seems to have improved both of those aspects. I mean, we still saw it against Alexander Usyk under Don Charles. And there were times in the Gerard Miller fight where you felt like, oh, this is getting a bit nasty, but he found something. And he certainly found something against Filip Hrgović. So, I mean, he's getting way better. He is. And you could argue as well, I mean, you look at who he's fought in his last 3. You look at who AJ's fought in his last 3. And he's easily, it's not even an argument, he's easily fought the better opposition. That's just fact, isn't it? Hrgović, Gerard Miller, Alexander Usyk. What's AJ? AJ's Ngannou, Otto Volin, and Helenius. Obviously, you know, Dubois has an X across one of those fights, and that's Usyk. But, I mean, Dubois right now is hot. Dubois right now is hot. The reason I don't think he can beat AJ, and this is not me being, you know, an AJ fanboy, is against Filip Hrgović. Hrgović could not miss with those 1-2s. Honestly, I was like, is Dubois going to move his head? He started to do it, but he could not miss. Like, it was almost target practice. It was easy work. And sometimes it wasn't even a 1-2. Sometimes it was just the one, straight down the pipe. And I don't consider Hrgović a fast heavyweight. He's got good hand speed, but he's not fast. And I don't consider him as powerful as AJ either. If Hrgović don't miss with that 1-2, AJ ain't missing. And if AJ ain't missing, you're going to sleep. I think we've seen that now recently. If AJ ain't missing, you're in trouble. We saw it against Helenius when AJ started to really turn it up. We saw it against Otto Volin, who said no more, no mas. And we saw it against Ngannou. So I just feel like AJ will come through some problems with Dubois. I think the first 4 or 5 rounds with Dubois are a bit of a problem because he is aggressive. He's now within himself. He's so confident now. And he'll feel like he can kind of take AJ's punch to land. I don't think he can, personally. That's just my take on it. I don't think he can. I think AJ's a bit too much for Daniel Dubois. There's obviously this rumor of sparring many moons ago. And if I'm doing the face-off, you know I'm going to ask that as well. Like, what happened in the sparring session between you two? I know both of them are going to say it was a long time ago and nothing happened, but I'm hoping to get something out of Dubois. I think Dubois will kind of do that childish smirk that he normally does. And hopefully we get something out of Dubois. But it's, you know what it is as well? The reason it's kind of hard to know where this fight's going to go is because we've never thought about it. You know, like, we've never thought about this fight. We've only ever thought about AJ Fury, so we've made our mind up on that. AJ Wilder, we've made up our mind about that. AJ, to an extent, Joe Joyce, or some talk about that. AJ Usyk. There's never been AJ Dubois talk. Like, this talk literally has only started in the last month. So it's kind of difficult to read it. But yeah, I think AJ will get the job done. And I expect an announcement next week. I also hope that next week we get some indication of what could be on the undercard as well. There's a lot of guesses going around about Hamza Shiraz Eubank Jr. I mean, okay, cool. Wardley Clark too. Yeah, Inoue being on it against question mark. I mean, I did hear someone say Nick Ball. I was like, Nick Ball? God, that would be incredible. But yeah, look, we'll see. We'll see. But hopefully, again, we get some confirmation next week. What do you guys think about that fight? Again, I'm trying to remove my bias for AJ, but I just don't see how Dubois beats him. Not this AJ as well. I think this AJ now, look, was searching for a home with regards to a trainer. Went to Garcia, went to Derek James, didn't quite find what he was looking for. He seems to have found it now with Ben Davison, which I think is very, very important. So I just feel like this AJ is a bit too focused now. Let's have a look if there's anything else. Sabril Matias, excuses are for losers. I'll beat Liam Parrow in a rematch. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure about Matias. It's weird how I was very high and now I'm very low after one defeat, or one recent defeat. Eddie Hearn labels Israel Madrimov as one of the toughest fights of Terence Crawford's career. Agreed. Telling you, I was ringside for Madrimov's fight against Kurbanov, and this motherfucker honestly reminded me of Golovkin. I was like, Jesus Christ, what's this? And he does that Golovkin punch. You know, Golovkin kind of hits you there. He does that. He's a good boxer, man. He's a good boxer. I don't know. Oh, bit of breaking news here. Canelo Alvarez has reached an agreement with William Skull, according to Aegon Sports. William Skull is mandatory. Is it his IBF mandatory? Can I be brutally honest with you? Up until this talk of William Skull, I'd never heard of him in my life. Never heard of him. Like, if that fight gets made, as much as Canelo, can do no wrong in my eyes, he will get ridiculed big time. When you consider some of the super middles that are waiting in line, and you're going to fight William Skull, who's going to bankroll that? Who's bankrolling that? No, real talk. Like, who's going to bankroll? Canelo has a number, right? Everyone seems to guess what this number is. 20, 25, I don't know, whatever this number is. Let's just, for argument's sake, say the number is 5. So I've gone really low here, right? 5. Canelo wouldn't have been paid 5. I don't know. Last time he got anything that low, probably 10 years ago, right? I'm telling you now, Canelo versus William Skull ain't touching 200,000 pay-per-view buys. It ain't touching it. Who's taking the gamble then? Who's taking the gamble? And by the way, that's not a sellout either in any arena, unless it's fucking happening at the Copper Box in Stratford. No, sirree. All right, anything else? No, I think that is it. All right, guys, girls, we are done. See you in the next one. Peace.